friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 585. Day in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, we have a lot of great videos to get into this week, Bean Team. Because the Lazy Masquerade has put out a new video. Nick freaking Crowley has put out a new video that we gotta check out. And then y'all already know tomorrow we're going back to Mike from that chapter. And today, we gonna start this week off right. Because we are going back to my brother from another mother. And that brother is Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions. Back to Evil Intentions, y'all. I think it has been over a month since we last got a video from Jose, but he has finally put one out, and I'm very excited to get into it. And the title of it is Crushed by Her Own Ambulance. Tragedy Leaves Thousands Mourning. The story of Yadira Arroyo. Now, I'm just trying to figure out, y'all, how in the HE double hockey sticks did she get crushed by her own ambulance, man? You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's going to be one of the parts of the story that is going to be so freaking crazy and have us like, what the is going on? But I don't know. But we're about to see. But before we see, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need and get what you need, please. We are back to Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Today's story is one that made headlines across the city and the rest of the country. One that changed the lives of numerous people in a matter of minutes. I'd like to give a huge thank you to the family of Yadira Arroyo, specifically her mother Leda and her aunt Ali. I spent a good amount of time on the phone with Ali, learning about Yadira and the rest of the family, in order to bring you guys this video. She took time to answer questions, send me photos, and explain the profound impact this has had on her and the rest of the family. I truly appreciate them trusting me with this, and for personally contacting me, asking me to bring this story to everyone, because some of the details in this story are extremely personal. They talk about the ups and downs, triumph, tragedy, and most of all, love between family. Another big part of this story are the men and women who risk their lives every day in this city and around the country as they carry out their jobs as first responders. I do have to warn that today's story contains dispatch audio from the event that will be played throughout the video, and many other details that are going to be very hard to make it through. Any video pertaining to the event has been fully blurred out of respect for Yadira and the family. So before jumping in, please keep all those things in mind. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Soundview section of the Bronx. This is the scene of a senseless act of violence.
Here Thursday night at around 7:30, Yadira Arroyo was killed. She is an EMS worker, 14-year veteran of the force, and a mother of 5. She was run over here in the Soundview section of the Bronx by her own ambulance.
Victim has been identified as Yadira Arroyo, again just 44 years old. Now, as for the suspect, he's a 25-year-old man. He was taken into custody just 100 yards away from this scene. He is currently being held at the 43rd Police Precinct.
When I got that phone call saying that my only daughter, my firstborn, my best friend in all of my life had been killed, my whole world was cast into darkness.
We are the hands to walk into your house whenever you're in need. We are the ones.
In a powerful display for Yadira Arroyo, emergency responders from across the city unite to make sure their fallen sister gets justice.
We're here for the family, and we serve the people of New York.
In March of 2017, thousands of first responders from all across the city would find themselves mourning the loss of one of their own after a tragic event unfolded on the streets of the Bronx. A selfless, caring, and loving woman fell victim to a totally senseless act of violence in what felt like a blink of an eye, leaving those closest to her devastated with overwhelming grief. That grief would be paired with anger, despair, and a loud call for justice, as it was learned that the monster responsible for this heinous act shouldn't have been free to begin with, and it would raise many questions and concerns about how to protect those who protect us. On today's episode of Evil Intentions, this is The Risk We Choose, the story of Yadira Arroyo.
I just gotta say it off the top, y'all, before we even get into the actual story for real, man. Rest in peace to Yadira Arroyo. You know what I'm saying? That's just the first thing I gotta say. Rest in peace to her. Shout out to all the first responders across the world. You know what I'm saying, man? And also, I guess my question already been answered, because at the beginning I was like, how did she end up getting crushed by her own ambulance? It sounded like to me that somebody was driving the ambulance that ain't have no business driving it. You know what I'm saying, man? And I hope that I ain't finna go all the way down that road right now, y'all. We just now getting into it. But real talk, man, I just felt the need to just say rest in peace to this beautiful young woman. Let's go.
The heckling continued when the defense attorney tried clearing up his criminal record.
Yadira Arroyo, also known as Yadi, was born on December 22nd of 1972 and was raised in the Bronx. She was born at Jewish Memorial Hospital to her mother, Leda, who goes by the nickname Cookie. The hospital was on West 196th Street in Washington Heights, but Yadira spent the rest of her life being raised as a proud Bronx native. The hospital she was born in has been shut down since 1982, so if some don't remember it, that would be the reason why. She was a Puerto Rican woman, very proud of where she was from. Growing up in New York City as a child of the 70s wasn't easy, especially for those growing up in the Bronx. It was a time where a lot of the borough was literally up in flames, a part of the city like many others, filled with poverty, racial tensions, and economic decline. Despite the widespread poverty all throughout the borough, the Bronx was also a place of unity and artistic expression. From the graffiti on the walls, to the dance battles in the parks, to the lines written in some of the most classic hip-hop songs. The Bronx was where Yadira called home. She came from a big family, with her mother being one of 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls, and Yadi herself had a brother. Since early on, life didn't deal the easiest cards for them. Like others in the city, they would feel the effects of what went on around them and the harsh times that the Bronx had become known for. Yadi's aunt, Allie, remembers what those days were like. She recalls a time where the city was being pummeled by a relentless snowstorm. As she made her way through the wall of white in front of her, she began to see figures in the distance, people standing in the middle of the storm. As she got closer, she was able to see who these people were. It was her sister Cookie, with Yadi and Yadi's brother. They had just been evicted from their apartment, thrown out on the street with their personal belongings surrounding them on the sidewalk, and all in the middle of these conditions. They were one of many families that faced hardships like these constantly. It would be one of the hardest moments they'd face as a family, but ultimately, they'd make it through. They had each other and stood strong. Cookie and Yadi's father were married for some time, but it wasn't a healthy relationship. He was physically abusive and not much of a father figure to Yadi or her brother. There were even times where he would walk past them in the street and not even acknowledge them. Their relationship with their mother, however, was an entirely different story. Yadi and her brother always felt nothing but love and care from her, always supportive, always looking to be there for them whenever they needed. Even when she felt like she had hit rock bottom and things couldn't get any worse, she never thought to leave her children with family or with anyone for that matter. She strongly felt that not only were her kids her responsibility, but she also couldn't imagine being away from them. She kept her head high through all of it, creating an unbreakable bond with her kids. She raised her children well, taught them to remain strong and to have kind hearts. Much of that.
Yadi mama sound like my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like a type of mama that I have, as far as like, because just me personally, y'all, I didn't grow up with a daddy either. I ain't seen my father since I was 7 years old, when I was in the 2nd grade. You know what I'm saying? But my mama was the mother and the father in my life. You get what I'm saying? It seemed like Yadi had that same thing, and my mama had to struggle too, because it was not just me. I got 6 older sisters all in the household. You know what I'm saying? And my mama had to find a way to make it, but it's just the love that she always gave all of us. And I feel like Yadi mama, I think her name is Cookie, her nickname, was doing the same thing for her and her brother. Shout out Yadi mama.
That could be seen in Yadi. Even at a young age, she was thinking of others. Knowing what it was like to be hungry and face homelessness, she was known to take whatever change she might have been able to save up, and she would buy small items for the homeless in the neighborhood, because she didn't want them to go a day on an empty stomach. It was a welcome gesture. Her childhood and teen years were mainly about survival, causing her and her brother to have to adjust to life's ups and downs very early. There was no getting the latest clothes, no getting her hair done for events at school. It was truly survival of the fittest. But her and her brother always had smiles on their faces, always grateful for the little they had. Lada's relationship with Yadi was special. They were much more than just mother and daughter. They were extremely close, more like best friends. They never even fought, and they always had an immense amount of respect for each other. The family resided in different parts of the Bronx, like Burnside Ave and Creston later on. Yadi attended PS 33 on Jerome Ave, just a few minutes away, followed by Junior High School 115, and then Clinton for high school. Throughout all those years, maintaining a tight relationship with her mother and the rest of her family. Also, making a lifelong friend, her best friend. Yadi's bond with her aunt Allie was also very strong. They always confided in one another. Her relationship with her father, however, would continue to grow more distant over time. This was especially tough for Yadi, as she grew to understand the type of person he was, but it wasn't something she planned on letting break her. Her mother, Cookie, would remarry sometime later on, to the man who would soon be a father figure to her children. He cared for them a great deal, and he was a very positive influence. He never missed a beat for his family, and they were more than happy to call him their father. They would have a son together, a younger brother to the children, and Yadi also had a younger sister from the father's side. Yadi looked out for her siblings as much as she could. There were even times where she would bring lunch back home from school so her brothers could have something to eat, because times were very hard. She was always like this, and would go on to graduate high school later on. As she came into her own, Yadi was becoming an adult, and her personality continued to blossom. Her infectious laugh and positive attitude spoke volumes. She was all about her family, her friends, and she nurtured those relationships. Even though there were many influences and bad habits to pick up along the way, she chose to live her life walking a positive path. She didn't smoke, never did drugs, she didn't even drink. She just liked having a clear head. She loved music and loved being out and about around the city. She was described by Ali as a shy person, but also somewhat of a daredevil. This was partly because of her love for riding motorcycle, an interest passed down by her father figure, Cookie's husband. She had been taking classes to learn the rules of the road, and more importantly, to be safe. She knew how to have fun, but she was always well aware of her responsibilities, always thinking of her next move. A few years after graduation, she was looking to figure things out, thinking of different career paths she might be interested in. This is when she had a conversation with her mother and father, where she was asked what she had her mind set on and how they could help. She told them she wanted to take the steps toward becoming an EMT. It made perfect sense. She had always wanted to help people. It was also important to her to have a steady job that she could apply herself to, as she was now a mother. She had her ups and downs throughout her relationships, good moments and bad ones, but her children were her life. Her parents were more than happy to help any way they could. They helped her with the funds needed for classes and with purchasing her first uniform. She would end up working for a private agency by the name of Citywide for 7 years. At year 7 with the company, becoming seasoned at her job, Yadi would set her sights on New York City's fire department, officially appointed as an EMT with the city in August of 2003.
And it just makes so much sense for Yadi to go into the field of being a first responder, man, because of how Jose Ortiz gave us the background of her as a little child. Even though her family's struggling and stuff, she's still out on the street making sure that the homeless people have something to eat. You know what I'm saying? She taking the little food that she have off her plate to give it to other people, even as a little child. So it makes so much sense why she grew up to be what she became, man. And it's beautiful. I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of like poetic to me. I love it.
She was assigned to Station 26 on Boston Road, where she quickly became used to the flow of things and made instant connections. She joined New York's bravest at a time where the city was still very much on edge. Less than 2 years before this, one of the darkest days in our history took place, and firefighters, EMS workers, and officers were at the forefront, trying their best to help the injured and get people on the street to safety. Others went into a situation that would only worsen as the hours went on, and many wouldn't make it out alive. While the risks and uncertainty might turn some away, for Yadi and countless others, it was an honor to don the FDNY uniform. She went into it with nothing but positivity, always looking to help and excel. It was said that anytime she got ready for work and put on that uniform, she turned into a soldier. She took her job very serious and was a no-nonsense type of person while doing it, even handling her job like a professional while battling asthma attacks on occasion. Many in the community she herself grew up in would grow used to seeing her around the way, always in good spirits and very focused. They'd also get used to her vibrant personality and big smile. She was very proud to wear that badge, number 2017. It represented years of hard work and dedication. When it came to the workplace, Station 26 was a family. Every station house out here has their members, and the bonds formed at these locations are something you'll hear and read about often if you research or know someone in that line of work. It's an atmosphere where everyone is looking out for one another. The relationships here go beyond the workplace. Many workers are also neighbors. They join up for gatherings in the summertime. They get the kids together, even attend holiday events together. More like family than anything else. Yadi would end up becoming a veteran on the job, working for FDNY for 14 years, continuing to build connections. She would come to be known as the matriarch of Station 26, meaning she was seen as the head of the family at work, a leader who always had their best interests in mind. Despite devoting much of her time to work, she always had time to live her life and expand her family. She was married once, but didn't have any children from that marriage. The relationship came to an end, but motherhood soon after meant everything to her. By 2017, Yadi was 44 years old and a mother to 5 thriving boys, ages 7 to 23 years old. While certain relationships of hers didn't work out, it never stopped her from carrying out her duties as a mom. She was the sole breadwinner for her family, and she took great pride in her role as a parent. Her relationships with the rest of her family members continued to flourish. Her mother had now been a resident of Florida, but any chance she had, sometimes even for a short weekend stay, Yadi would be on a plane to go visit her. They saw each other often and always spoke. Her relationship with her Aunt Allie was no different. They spoke and saw each other just as much. Yadi had her career, her children, the rest of her family and friends. But on the evening of March 16th of 2017, an unthinkable tragedy would occur, and life for all of those involved would change forever, all in an instant. That day, it was Yadi's regular day off, but she decided to pick up an overtime shift for extra cash, moonlighting for another station house. Even though this line of work is one of the most important, and the role of EMS workers across the city is crucial, they're among the lowest paid in this city. It's been an ongoing discussion for a long time, and because of this, for many, overtime is a way of life, and working numerous extra shifts is common. She gladly accepted the shift, always willing to don her uniform, and it would help her provide for her 5 children. But this shift would take a very dark turn as she and her partner drove the ambulance through the streets of the Bronx. As they drove near Watson Ave and White Plains Road, the women were flagged down by witnesses in the street who were trying to let them know that there was a man riding on the back of their ambulance. After a few moments, the man jumped off the back of the vehicle and approached a 21-year-old passerby on the street, randomly telling him that he was going to arrest him, then snatched the man's book bag from him. This is when Yadi and her partner pulled over due to the passerby also flagging them down. She exited the vehicle and exchanged a few words with the man who'd taken the book bag, when suddenly he ran around the ambulance and entered through the driver's side, as both women yelled at him to get out. Yadi's partner was in the passenger seat and tried to stop him, but in an instant, he quickly put the ambulance into reverse, striking Yadi as she tried her best to hold on to the vehicle. The force knocked her down, and he began to run her over before driving forward, pinning her under the ambulance and dragging her body underneath, running her over multiple times, with the weight of the vehicle crushing her. It all happened so fast. While her partner was in the passenger seat trying to fight this madman off, she could feel the ambulance going over something, unaware in the midst of the chaos that it was Yadi's body beneath the wheels.
Like, what the freak, man? Why did he do this? This dude gotta be on drugs or something. Like, why was he even hanging on to the back of the ambulance to begin with? And then why you jump in the driver's seat and then you running out? Like, this is just one of the most unnecessary, like what the are you doing type of murders. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, what the freak? And I hope and pray, man. I hope and pray that he get what he deserves. Y'all know how Jose is, man. A lot of times we watch his videos and the freaking killer just get off scot-free. I hope that's not the case today. I remember he said something earlier about what happened to the killer, but I don't know, y'all. But I'm just saying, dude, what the freak? He had to been on some type of drugs or something-ish. Such an unnecessary reason to take somebody's life. I'm frustrated. Let's go.
Dispatch audio released by FDNY would capture the harrowing event as it unfolded.
19 King acknowledged. What unit is that? 82 North. All units stay off the air unless you have an emergency. 82 North. 82 North. What's your current location, 82 North? 10-5, 82 North, what's your location? Attention all Bronx North units. Units 82 North as a 1085, Watson and White Plains. Watson and White Plains.
82 North, Watson and White Plains Road. Of Bronx North, Watson and White Plains, 82 North, 1013, 1013, 82 North, White Plains and Watson Avenue. All units in the Bronx, stand by and let's urgent.
03 Willie, I don't think we're too far from that. You see us on your map? Well, let me know if you're en route. Back.
Get going, get going, get going, get going.
Show me on it.
3 King, we're 3 minutes out from that. We'll take it.
All units, Watson and White Plains. Watson and White Plains. If you don't have an emergency, stay off the air.
Lieutenant, the units en route northbound on White Plains going to Jacoby. Correct?
Jacoby Hospital?
Jacoby, they're moving now.
Witnesses would also capture parts of the horrible event on video. In the unsettling footage, it shows everything as it unfolded and the aftermath. Yadi's body was seen pinned under the ambulance and dragged across the intersection. A few seconds later, the man crashed into a pile of snow and tried to flee, while Yadi's body stood lying in the middle of the street, and she wasn't moving. Her partner was right there with her, also injured from the commotion, screaming in horror as her partner, someone she saw as a sister, lie lifeless. During this, the madman who ran her over was approached by an MTA police officer who saw the moment Yadi was dragged under the ambulance, and he didn't hesitate to confront him, quickly getting him down to the ground and handcuffing him with the help of civilians who were near. The man was talking to himself, saying he was innocent and other things that just didn't make any sense. As he was pinned down, the emotions running through Yadi's partner were the strongest that she had ever felt, as she ran from her body over to the man, trying to kick him, a reaction anyone would have in a situation like this. She was stopped, and others continued to keep the man down as they waited for EMS and police to arrive. It was a scene of confusion, chaos, and extreme grief, brought on by someone who clearly didn't value anything, especially human life. Her body was in bad shape, and once medics arrived, she was immediately rushed to Jacoby Medical Center, but it was too late. Yadi was gone. The shock and sheer brutality of what had taken place quickly made its way around the Bronx and the rest of the city, along with numerous videos circulating online of the tragic event. Her last moments on Earth, all over Twitter and other websites. It was all surreal. Someone who was here just minutes ago, setting a great example, just trying to do her job, taken away in a matter of seconds. Her life cut short for absolutely no reason, and in such a horrific way. It wouldn't take long for the news to make its way to Florida shortly after, where Yadi's mother was, and the details of the tragedy would be just about the worst thing she could ever hear. Very soon after, that same evening, Cookie received a call from someone who was in the city, and they knew about what had taken place. They delivered the tragic news, leaving her distraught and heartbroken. She didn't fully understand why or how this could happen, but she knew that she wouldn't see her daughter alive again. She quickly made a phone call to her sister, Ali, who was still living in the Bronx, and began to tell her about a dream she had involving Yadi. She explained how in this dream, she saw her daughter walking down an endless path filled with flowers. It was brief, but she remembered it in great detail. When she received the news that her daughter's life was taken, she started to feel like what she saw in her dream just days prior wasn't just a dream, but a premonition of sorts, something that could never be fully explained. She would then tell Ali that Yadi was gone. Her life ended on the job. Her response to this was to please stop joking, because it wasn't funny. She had just spoken to Yadi a few hours before this. The plan was for her to come over to Ali's home to listen to music and to have a few laughs, something that they did often. Ali's daughter, Yadi's cousin, was going through a rough time, and she figured that them all being together would help cheer her daughter up. But they would never get that chance. Unfortunately, this was very real. Cookie would then ask her sister to please be there to represent Yadi and be there for anything involving her tragic passing. Not because she herself didn't want to, but because she simply couldn't find the strength. It was far too much to handle, and she was paralyzed with grief from the moment she heard those words over the phone. She would fly into New York City the very next day. It was a lot to handle for Ali as well. She loved Yadi like she was her own daughter, but she would instantly agree. She'd remain mostly calm during the phone call because the reality hadn't yet set in. But as soon as she hung up that phone, she let out a scream so loud that her son dropped what he was doing and ran to his mother from another room, only to find her hysterical and in tears. She would place several phone calls to others, relaying the awful news to their other sister and the rest of the family. Her sister that she called had already heard of what happened in the Bronx that evening, except she had no idea that it was her own niece who suffered such a cruel fate, since at first there wasn't confirmation on who this happened to. Ali would then make her way to Jacoby Medical Center, where her niece's body was, a short time after. And in the waiting room and throughout the hallways of the hospital were many friends, other family members, and EMS workers, all very much in shock and fighting tears as they tried to understand how this all happened. Ali was greeted by Mayor de Blasio, who welcomed her with a hug and held her hand as he expressed his condolences. He also stated that they would do whatever possible to make sure that justice was served. While many were there, the silence was deafening, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Ali was taken to a different room where her niece's body was being held, and she was asked if she was prepared to see her. The nurse then pulled the curtain open, revealing her lifeless body. The pain she felt in this moment couldn't be put into words. She sat beside her, holding her hand, crying for hours, for so long that she could feel Yadi's warm hands turn ice cold, as if her life force had been pulled from her body. She didn't want to, but she knew she had to leave her, to be there for her family and everything that would come after.
Man, I just gotta say, y'all, I feel so empty on this one. Like, this one just got me feeling so empty inside, man, because I'm so stuck on, like, bro, this was so unnecessary. Why did you do this? Like, when Jose was just saying all the people, all her supportive family and friends that came to the hospital and they sitting in the rest, what they call it? I can't even think of the word, man. The room that the people sit in at the hospital, man. They all sitting up in that room. And he said you could hear a pin drop. Because everybody just like me, man, just sitting right here like, I feel fucking empty. I feel defeated. I feel like, what the freak is life? Like, this is so crazy. Then you just think about Yadi. When she got out of that ambulance, she would never on God's green earth thinking that this man about to run over me. You know what I'm saying? She did not think her life was about to end. That was the least thing she was thinking about when she got out that ambulance. And it happened so quick, man. This is such a avoidable tragedy. Please let this man get locked up for the rest of his life, man. I'm going from frustrated to getting mad now. I'm already just feeling like, Jesus. I got an empty feeling in my stomach, man.
Yadi's eyes were still open when her life was taken. Ali would be the one to close them as she sat with her body in that room. Things were still chaotic, and by this point, family members were trying to locate Yadi's children to let them know what happened. Throughout the traumatic process, Ali made a request. She was informed of pictures that were taken before she and other family members arrived at the hospital, and she wanted to see them, just to understand the full extent of what her niece went through. She was sat down with a psychologist to prepare her for what she was about to see. She was then shown the photos. The picture that Ali couldn't get out of her head was one that showed Yadi's body, and all that could be seen was the part of her face that hadn't been damaged. This was extremely hard for her to look at because you could see the fear in Yadi's eyes. She knew her niece died frightened, but according to the doctor, when the ambulance ran over her body the first time, the weight and speed would sever her aorta, taking her life instantly. Anything after this, she didn't feel it. Ali felt grateful that Yadi was spared further pain, because even though she suffered a horrific end, she felt that God was merciful. Later on, at around 3 a.m., Yadi's body was transported from the hospital to the medical examiner's office, where colleagues of hers waited, saluting her as she was brought in. Members of FDNY and Station 26 would welcome Yadi's family with open arms and broken hearts from the very moment it all unfolded. There was no doubt how painful the loss was for all of them. The news was devastating, and it took its toll on everyone close to her. It was as if time began to move slow, but there were also 1,000 things happening at once. In times of grief like this, it can be a lot to handle, and everyone handles these situations differently. The sudden tragedy would spark conflict between family members, but that was just everyone trying to cope with this horrible news. And it wouldn't last long. They were very soon unified. After the anger went away, there was overwhelming sadness. Every last mention of what happened felt like another vicious blow to the family. And with the details and videos quickly going viral, there was simply no way to avoid it.
Following the breaking story live in the Soundview section of the Bronx with the latest on this wild story. Tracy.
Maurice and Christine, a tragic loss for the FDNY tonight. That EMT, 14 years on the job. Take a look behind me. You can see the street is still closed off as police continue with their investigation. You can see the flashing lights of that stolen ambulance still in the spot right where it crashed. Dramatic cell phone video shows the stolen ambulance whipping around the corner. The two EMS workers left injured in the middle of the street, while Justin Lopez and other stunned onlookers watched the scene unfold here at White Plains Road and Watson Avenue.
All I see was the ambulance with the lights on the corner, and I'm wondering what was happening, but I don't know if something big. And then I see, like, from far, I see a little tuffle and somebody hop in the car, and then I see the person getting run over.
A female EMS worker, a mother of 5 children, was killed. Her partner, also a female, was visibly upset at the scene and was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Witnesses say a rush of first responders came to their aid, but knew it wasn't good.
Her body was lifeless, pretty much.
Police say the EMS workers were responding to an unrelated accident in the area when a man was spotted riding on the back of the ambulance. When they pulled over, police say the man jumped behind the wheel and tried to take off. After hitting the women, he crashed into several parked cars. The impact startling residents in their homes. This woman too shaken to appear on camera.
Just like a boom, and which obviously made us jump to kind of look out and see what was going on. It was just literally crazy.
Tremendous heartache tonight for those EMS workers just out doing their jobs.
For that to happen, and you know, she's out here helping other people, it's bad.
Now, we have just received this picture. The victim has been identified as Yadira Arroyo, again, just 44 years old. Now, as for the suspect, he's a 25-year-old man. He was taken into custody just 100 yards away from the scene. He is currently being held at the 43rd Police Precinct. We're live tonight from the Soundview section of the Bronx.
Soundview section.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm at the point now that I'm pissed off, y'all. I'm just gonna let y'all know I'm pissed off, man. Fuck this goddamn dude. Like, but I just go back to what I keep saying, man, because this was just so freaking unnecessary for him to do this. You know what I'm saying? And I can just understand the anger in her coworker, her friend, that seeing you do all this, like, oh my God, y'all, Jesus. I hate to say it, man, but if that was me in that situation and I witnessed that my coworker, my friend just got ran over and did by this crazy motherfucker who just hopped up in our ambulance, I would have wanted to kill that fucking dude. In that moment, if I would have had a gun, I probably would have been pulled the trigger. I'm just gonna go and tell the truth, my brothers and sisters. Like, that's just in hindsight, that probably would have been the wrong thing to do. I agree. You know what I'm saying? But in that moment, if it was a gun available, that motherfucker probably would have got his ass fucked the fuck up. I'm just gonna go and put it out there. This shit right here got me mad now, man. This dude here, it ain't just her life, and of course it is her life more than importantly. Rest in peace, like I said to her, man. But it's just all the people lives that you affect around you when you do stupid ass shit like that. I don't know, man. I don't know why Jose videos be getting me mad like that, y'all. But Jesus Christ, it's justified. Let's go.
Section of the Bronx. This is the scene of a senseless act of violence here Thursday night at around 7:30. Yadira Arroyo was killed. She is an EMS worker, 14-year veteran of the force, and a mother of 5. She was run over here in the Soundview section of the Bronx by her own ambulance, driven by a man believed to be under the influence of drugs who was trying to steal it. It was a chaotic scene. Passersby, including an MTA canine officer, quickly caught up with that suspect, 25-year-old Jose Gonzalez. He's said to have 31 prior arrests. Now, we've obtained this exclusive video of what appears to be Gonzalez riding on the back of that ambulance before before this incident began, and at some point he jumped off and somehow began struggling with the EMT who got out to tell him to get off of the back of that vehicle. Now, we now have a team of reporters and crews working this story throughout the Bronx. We will have the latest updated information.
The city is still stunned by the death of Yadira Arroyo. The veteran EMT and mother of 5 was killed in the line of duty this week after a man stole her ambulance and then used it to run her over. The family is now planning her funeral. A wake will be held Thursday and Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. at the Lucchese Funeral Home in the Bronx. A funeral mass will be held Saturday at 11 at the St. Nicholas Church. Today, firefighters and EMTs lined the street to receive Arroyo's family outside the station house where she worked. The Tunnels to Towers Foundation also presented the family with a special donation. TV 1055's Ali Bauman reports on the outpouring of support following this senseless loss.
Inside the station house Yadira Arroyo knew and loved for 14 years gather so many who knew and loved her.
The monster responsible for this senseless and violent attack was 25-year-old Jose Gonzalez, someone who lived just a short 2-minute walk away from Yadi on Creston Ave. He lived at a shelter there, and it was said by others that he often stopped taking his schizophrenia meds, and you just never knew what to expect from him. He was always screaming, having random outbursts. He was also a drug user and was known to take PCP. He had a long rap sheet that included a staggering 31 prior arrests, one of those for trying to punch a police officer earlier that same year. During that arrest, he kicked out the back window of a squad car as he tried to escape. Prosecutors requested $5,000 bail for that, but instead, the judge in the case would just set him free, despite his criminal history. That same judge was said to have also ignored a missed court appearance by Gonzalez. But when it came to Yadi, he wouldn't be set free this time around. He was standing.
That's what Jose was saying earlier at the beginning of the video. He was talking about how he had got set free, and now I realized, because now we got the details, he was talking about he was set free and should have never even been out on the damn streets to begin with to even do this. And then I said earlier, Bean Team, I was like, man, this dude gotta be on some fucking drugs or some shit to be even jumping on his ambulance and then committing that crazy, heinous, ridiculous, senseless ass crime, man. And another thing too is the fact it's like, bro, he not only are he on drugs, PCP, he is also schizophrenic. It's just the wrong combination of stuff, and you know one day it's gonna turn out bad. And the police could have kept his ass locked up, but the terrible judge, the terrible judicial system, the whole system effed up. I know I've been cussing a lot, y'all. I'm finna try to stop saying the F word and just say F word. I'm finna try to not say the SHIT and just say sugar honey iced tea. I'm gonna try to calm back down, man, but this is just crazy, man, all the way around. Now we looking at the police like, really y'all could have kept this man locked up, man. We would never even had to deal with this. You knew he was a freaking accident waiting to happen.
Before a judge the following morning, trying to say he was innocent. Family, EMTs, and firefighters from Station 26 were at that courthouse since day one, not requesting, demanding that this person pay for what they did. As his defense lawyer tried to speak with journalists, colleagues of Yadi chanted, letting it be known exactly what they felt of him.
Do expect that he will be present for the next court appearance unless his condition does not improve.
The heckling continued when the defense attorney tried clearing up his criminal record.
He has 4 prior misdemeanor convictions, 2 of which are for marijuana. And he was...
I hope that he rots, yelled one worker. Understandably, this is how many felt, and it was justified. He took an...
Shit, I hope his ass get the goddamn death penalty.
Innocent life, someone who meant the world to them. Someone who would still be here, if not for his senseless and cruel act. Emotions ran high whenever Yadi's name was mentioned. Anyone who knew her wanted to protect her name, her legacy, and everything she stood for. He was charged with first-degree murder, a rare charge in this city. After her life was taken, there were other issues that were daunting to the family. Aside from fighting through the grief, Yadi was cremated, but Ali wasn't able to claim her ashes since she wasn't listed as a formal next of kin. The family was told that she needed to be claimed very soon, or they would be spreading her ashes. Her mother, Cookie, was going to fly back out during the hectic and confusing time, but instead, Ali's husband would take Yadi's eldest son and go to claim her. That way, she would have a proper burial, the one she deserved. Times like these, there's so much going on that these types of technicalities cause issues like this pretty often, but the family was thankful that it all worked out. The FDNY Family Assistance Unit would let her loved ones know that they would be paying for all funeral costs, something that helped the family in a big way, and they were appreciative of that, especially at this time when everything still felt like a bad dream. Ali knew she would be writing the eulogy at Yadi's service, and to prepare, she began to ask her children and the rest of the family to use one word that best described her. Those responses would be used as the inspiration for that eulogy. The loving, intelligent, caring woman that they'd all grown to admire was here one day and gone the next. And now her loved ones would be faced with one of their greatest challenges yet, laying her to rest. A viewing for Yadi was held on March 23rd and 24th of 2017 at Joseph Lucchesi Funeral Home in the Bronx. And on Saturday, March 25th, a funeral mass was held at the St. Nicholas of Tolentine Church. Thousands would attend, hundreds inside of the church, and many more on the street, where a large viewing screen was set up for those unable to fit inside. Her coffin, draped in the American flag, carried out of the ambulance that carried her. The ambulance normally used for the president if something were to ever happen in the city. They asked permission to use it to transport her body, and they agreed. Her helmet from work, presented to her grieving family by FDNY. If you looked in any direction, it was a sea of blue. All uniforms, all grieving, all of them in attendance to pay respects to the mother of 5 who put her life on the line every time she donned her uniform, knowing that this could have very well been any one of them in the same position. It's something a lot of people don't think about, the serious dangers involved with this job, but for those in this line of work, it's always in the back of their heads. Many donations from around the city were also provided to the family through an FDNY foundation. Everyone from former Mayor Bill de Blasio to FDNY Commissioner Daniel Nigro to EMTs from all around the city would attend, offering their condolences. First responders from all over the 5 boroughs lined the avenue surrounding the church. Inside, many would take to the podium, sharing their memories of Yadi and what she meant to them and this city. The words that were shared by her son and her aunt were heartbreaking, and even those who didn't know Yadi personally understood the magnitude of this tragedy. Her partner, who was there when it all happened, had a speech prepared for the service, but the pain was just too much for her. She couldn't bring herself to speak those words. That alone spoke for itself. There was never any doubt how much Yadi meant to her. She would retire from FDNY shortly after. The harsh reminders of what took place that day were just too much to bear, and everyone who knew her understood why she made this choice. The following footage is taken from the service that was held.
She didn't spoil me and my brothers. She gave us exactly what we needed. There's some things I wish she did teach me. She's Puerto Rican from the Bronx, so I didn't get much Spanish. But in life, mothers are only given so much to make do the impossible. And my mother wasn't perfect. She was excellent. Out of all the ways she showed me how to make people smile, or the way she inspired me, the way she lights up the whole room with her wonderful laugh. On top of any other lessons she showed me, to make me as tough and as gentle, as wise and as curious as I am now. She taught me how to listen, because she listened. I was honest with her, because she was always the only person who truly understood me. She knew me and my brothers better than we will ever know ourselves. We're all gonna miss her a lot. I miss her now. Right now, I'd be asking her how my hair looks. My mom didn't prepare me for goodbyes too well. On the phone, she always had to have the last goodbye. I mean, one day I tested her on it. She says bye, I say bye, and she says bye-bye every time. So I try to get the last goodbye. She said bye, I said bye, she said bye, and I said bye real fast. I hung up the phone. Then I get a text from her. It said, bye-bye. My mother and I tried to be there for each other and take care of each other over the years. And when she died, I thought, well, I know she'll be all right now, but I don't know about me. Who's gonna take care of me? Because I know God's taking care of her. And it occurred to me yesterday. She didn't need me anymore. But she left behind people who do. And she can't take care of me anymore. But she left behind people who can. And so I know I'll be all right. And my brothers will too.
My name is Ali. I am Yadi's aunt. Her mother, Leda, whom we lovingly call Cookie, asked me to be her voice today, and I am honored to do so. The words I speak are in her voice, even though she cannot speak them. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio, Commissioner Nigro, Chief Leonard, and all fire department staff chiefs. As you must know, when I got that phone call saying that my only daughter, my firstborn, my best friend in all of my life had been killed, my whole world was cast into darkness, and I felt like I was drowning. It seemed impossible to comprehend. It still does. A mother should not have to bury her child. I unravel unto God every emotion that a human being is capable of feeling. I went into emotional shutdown, and in my solitude, the answer came to me. I have heard people giving their opinions and questioning her actions, like what they would have done if it was done. And my answer to you is, this is who Yadi was. Martin Luther King once said, society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way. My daughter chose not to look the other way, but rather to be involved in life and to enrich the lives of others. She chose to step out and help someone in need. She chose to take action, to be compassionate, to give assistance. Her life was one which touched so many lives. There is an unwritten rule among people in uniform that you never leave no one behind. When she put on that uniform, it was not to do a job, it was to serve. She wore that uniform with pride, and I honor her for the self-sacrificing work that she did. She would have never stand for injustice. She was not afraid to do what's right. When you left me, you did not go alone. part of me went with you. I miss your presence in my life, the essence of who you were. I am forever grateful to God for giving you as my daughter. And if I had a choice, I would ask for you all over again. Remember that the darkest nights produce the brightest stars. And I know that when I am ready to step out of my darkness, you will be standing at the light. You have been the light of my life, and I can't imagine life without you. But God is good and wise and all-knowing, and He has called you to be at His side. And so I believe your purpose has been accomplished, and I say farewell. You will always live in our hearts. We will never forget you. Think of Jari. If you see her face and your first instinct is to smile, she's done her work here on earth.
Thanks. I ain't gonna lie, y'all, man. I done went from Jose, if y'all out there listening, man, you have pulled out a lot of emotions in me, because I done went from being I was just freaking pissed off, you know what I'm saying? At first I was frustrated, then I got mad, then I got pissed off, and now I got sad looking at her whole funeral service, or just, you know, the certain segments from it, man. It's just like, dude. I even started getting a little tear in my eye. My eyes started to get a little watery for a second, y'all. And I gotta point this out too, man. Like the title says, tragedy leaves thousands mourning. So many people came out for Yachty, man. Like, it literally was thousands in the streets. You know what I'm saying, man? So much love and support for her, and more than well deserved. You know what I'm saying? Well deserved is an understatement, man. A lot of people was hurting from this tragedy because, like I said, it's so senseless. And then all these people, they are first responders too, and they realized that the same thing that happened to Yachty could have freaking happened to me. You know what I'm saying? This is just such a random and senseless crime. Now I'm back mad again. Let's go.
At the end of the service, Yachty's coffin was carried out back into the ambulance and driven through the streets that she had grown to know so well, flooded with people who had grown used to seeing her face so often. It was a large procession. Flags were flown half-staff, with air and sea salutes also carried out in her honor, even extending out to FDR Drive. It felt like all of the city's first responders were there, a somber moment that truly showed how important she was to this community, to the whole city. The loss was felt not only here, but all over the country, with workers from everywhere like Chicago showing their support, hailing Yachty as the hero she was, someone who lost her life trying to help someone else. Her burial at Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx would be one of the hardest moments that they would ever experience. Some of those who attended would pay final respects, throwing dirt onto the coffin, something that many do as a way to honor the deceased. Ali recalled watching her sister Cookie kneel down in tears, gently brushing excess dirt off the coffin, making sure that everything was perfect before her firstborn, her only daughter, was lowered into the ground. While Yachty's family was trying their best to cope with this immense loss, and they believed that the worst was behind them, there was much more that they would experience in the aftermath of her passing. As videos from the tragedy continued to circulate online over the years, Yachty's family would see the heartless and ignorant comments made by those online who apparently didn't value life. They laughed at what happened, made comments about her deserving it, about how no job is worth all of this, entirely missing the point. There was even a time when Ali found herself defending her niece's name when a police officer said that Yachty was stupid for holding on to the ambulance as the man drove, saying that she should have just let go. And Ali's response to this was, maybe that's something that you would do, but not Yachty. It was as if these people couldn't understand her position. This job meant everything to her, aside from her family. Her life wasn't only on the line this day, but every day she wore her uniform before this. It wasn't just about the vehicle. Her partner, someone she saw as a sister, was in there. Her natural reaction was to protect what was hers, what she cared for. She was selfless, and putting herself in harm's way was just something that came with the job. It seems that the one officer who was so careless with his words forgot that part of his training. But
Man, oh my God, man. Now I don't know what type of emotion I'm feeling, man. Like, I'm pissed off on everything, my brothers and sisters. Are you serious? See, this is what I always be talking about, y'all. Humans can be the greatest thing on earth, and at the same time, we can be the worst thing on earth. We can be the scums of the earth, man. There's people out there actually talking bad on her, trying to act like it's all her fault, and the damn police officer saying she's stupid. Why do people, I would never for the life of me understand why people talk down on the dead. Why do people talk bad about the dead, man? Especially people, I'm not talking about no murderers or nothing. I'm talking about people who got murdered. You know what I'm saying? Victims in these crimes. And you talking about them like they the damn monster. What the Man, we ain't finna go there, Bean Team. We are not finna go there because it's not even worth going there because it be the internet and shit has fucked this shit up, man. Because you got so many anonymous people on the internet being effing trolls. That's what it's called. They being trolls. They saying stuff that they would never say if they picture, they face was actually sewn, or better yet, if they was actually one-on-one in real life looking at you, they would never say some of this stuff. And they would never say that stuff that they was saying about her if they was in front of a live camera. You know what I'm saying? They hide behind a fake profile cartoon picture or whatever and just being effing fucking trolls, man. Oh my God, man. Humans just, it's so frustrating, man. Like I said, we the greatest thing to walk on earth, but boy, we are the worst things at the same time. And then a damn police officer got the audacity to say some craziness like that out his mouth. How could you make it like she the bad one? And like her auntie said, man, maybe you would have held on, but that was not who Yadi was. Yadi really cared, y'all. She cared from a freaking child. She was this way. Man, I know I said I wasn't gonna go all into it, and I kind of still went into it, but Jose, you got me with this one, bro. You got a lot of emotions coming out of me, man. Jesus, what the? We almost done, my brothers and sisters. Let's go.
Fond memories and immense love she and her family received continues to overshadow all of that ignorance till this day. To make sure that this city and residents of the Bronx never forget the sacrifice that was made, Puerto Rican union rights activist and former FDNY medic Joe Conzo would help Union Local 2507, the same union Yadi belonged to, commissioned the legendary Tats crew and FX crew to paint murals to honor her memory. If the name Joe Conzo sounds familiar, it's because he's also a legendary photographer, credited by many as the man who took hip-hop's baby pictures, spanning from the early 1970s to the mid-80s. Many of those photos in books, magazines, movies, and all over the internet today. The Union and Conzo felt that this was a great way to forever keep her memory alive. The Tats crew and FX crew, who've told various stories of triumph and tragedy through their art, taking their love for their community, not just around the city, but around the world. Walk around the Bronx for a while, and chances are you'll see plenty of their work, much of it keeping the memories of many alive. Some of the best writers in the world putting their talents together to show love for Yadi, her family, and her colleagues. Their work can be found on the front of Station 26, where a street was also named after her, and also near the Morrison Avenue Soundview Station. She would be added to a large wall that also honors Judge Sonia Sotomayor, a Puerto Rican Bronx native, and hip-hop icon KRS-One. They went through hundreds of spray cans, spending hours to get it just right. She can be seen wearing her badge around her neck, with Station 26 behind her. and a Puerto Rican flag emblem on her uniform. A fitting tribute to someone who meant so much to everyone. Their hard work and talent doesn't ever go unnoticed, especially by Yadi's family. As the murals were completed, Ali made sure to hug everyone who was involved, moved to tears by the image of her loving niece. It fully captured her beauty and the line of work she gave her life for. Ali felt that she needed these artists to know how much this meant to her and the family. They were all very touched, and they could see the amount of love that was put into these pieces. It meant the world to them. A neighborhood emergency call box with a plaque of Yadi was unveiled on Sunday, March 17th of 2019, where a ceremony was also held. The call box is covered in butterflies and has her plaque on the front. It stands right on the corner of Watson Ave and White Plains Road, where everything took place. It was very clear that although it had been 2 years since it happened, it still hurt as if it was just yesterday. On May 27th of 2021, a playground at 1954 Watson Ave was also renamed after her. The unveiling was attended by many EMS workers in uniform, with Commissioner Nigro giving a speech at the dedication. Her children were there for it all, calling the dedication a real honor and a privilege. All of this done to make sure that she's always remembered. During the trial, there were attempts to say that Gonzalez suffered from a history of mental illness, and for a while, he was deemed unfit. This would lead to a long and torturous wait, thanks to delay after delay. There were so many hearings concerning this that it only made this family's wound much deeper. Yadi's family, friends, and colleagues kept their patience and made sure to show support anytime that anything involving Yadi took place in a courtroom. Her family was even commended by Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark for never missing a day. Gonzalez was sent to a psychiatric facility after they said that he needed to be evaluated. But in September of 2022, he was deemed fit for trial. The witnesses who were there to see those horrible last moments of Yadi's life would take the stand, among others, all contributing to the verdict. On Tuesday, March 7th of 2023, after a full day of deliberations, he was found guilty in the murder of Yadira Arroyo. And on Wednesday, April 26th of 2023, 6 long, grueling years after his arrest, he was finally sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Oh, yes, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sentence was read. He stood there wearing handcuffs with Yadi's name inscribed on them. Her aunt Ali spoke to reporters right after and had the following to say. These here are the cuffs that held his hands, the hands that killed Yadi, and they say in memory of FDNY EMT Yadira Arroyo. It means a lot to us. We're going to pick up the pieces of our broken heart and remember her life, her legacy. We're going to remember Yadi for the person she was and not how she died. She echoed the sentiments of the rest of her family and countless others. There were even people who judged Ali because she strongly felt that the monster responsible should receive a life sentence. She was told she was being too harsh. But the truth is, nobody had a right to tell her how to feel, especially about someone who meant the world to her. That life sentence was earned and well-deserved. Till this day, she carries a picture of Yadi on her keychain. That way, she's always able to see her face. As for Gonzalez, there isn't much more to say about him. While the useless coward who committed this atrocity will wither away in prison for the rest of his life, becoming a long-forgotten memory, Yadi's smile, her name, and her devotion to this city will never be forgotten. Shortly after the sentencing, another memorial was had right where her life was taken, and 6 candles were lit, one for every year since the tragic event took place. As of June of 2019, Yadi's brother, Joel Rosado, has followed in his sister's footsteps. They had spoken about working together before, but they never got the chance. He graduated from the academy and was given her former badge number, 2017. He wears it proudly, bravely, and with the same dedication as she once did. Every year on Yadi's birthday, her loved ones go out and feed the homeless in her name. Also, holding Christmas events for children in the neighborhood, handing out presents and other necessities. Others have followed suit across the country, all in her name, knowing exactly how much that would mean to her. What happened to Yadi and others in the line of duty would raise major questions about appreciation for those who put their lives at risk every single day, entering our homes, going into dangerous situations, not knowing what to expect, never knowing if one day it'll be them fighting for their life. She lives on through the thousands across the city who wear their badges with honor and continue to show up day in and day out because they take great pride in what they do. During an interview with reporters, a veteran paramedic had the following to say about being an EMT. That's our life. You never know if you're going to be coming home or not, but that's the risk we choose. If you ever find yourself around Soundview, near Station 26, or maybe by White Plains Road, take a moment to remember and honor Yadi, someone who's still loved and missed beyond words by her children, her friends, and the rest of her family. Someone who made the ultimate sacrifice and never had a chance to make it back home. She lives on in their hearts, and that will never change. Don't be afraid to show your loved ones that you care about them, and don't hesitate to let them know that they're on your mind, because the truth is, in this life, you just never know. Rest in peace, Yadira Arroyo, and my heart goes out to her family, colleagues, and loved ones. You aren't forgotten.
Man, my brothers and sisters, Jesus, man, that brought out a lot of emotions in me. But first and foremost, I just gotta say it one more time. Rest in peace to Yadira Arroyo, man. Rest in peace to that young, beautiful soul, man. And like I said, man, it's brought out so many different emotions in me. It had me freaking like, it had me sad at moments, especially like watching her funeral service. It had me mad at moments, you know what I'm saying? It had me especially pissed off about the fact that the police could have stopped this from even happening if you didn't let the man that's already schizophrenic and he a heavy drug user. He on PCP and y'all let him back out on the street. See, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm getting back hype about that part, man. That right there was just freaking terrible. But I also feel good about and the fact that how many people came and showed out for Yadira, you know what I'm saying, man, and paid her homage and gave her honor, and all the people that showed out on the streets, all the memorials built and the things like that, the park and all that make you kind of like feel better about it, knowing that she will never be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Her name will never be forgotten. And Jose said something that is very true. That motherfucker, what his name is, Gonzalez, I done forgot his damn name. He gonna be forgotten, you know what I'm saying, man? And that's a good thing. And another thing about that, let's talk about the fact that I got so happy, and I'm gonna clap again. The fact that he got life in prison. You know what I'm saying, man? That's a good moment about the thing, but at the end of the day, it still would just always be sad that she even had to lose her life like that, man. But it was some good things to come out of it. It was some things that peed me off, and I just thought about another one. The scums of the earth, the freaking humans on earth, the freaking trolls with they fake profile pictures and crazy usernames who type any damn thing and just be all disrespectful to people who have freaking died. You know what I'm saying, man? To people who can't even defend themselves no more, talking down on them on their damn iPhones and Androids and laptops and computers and ish. You know what I'm saying, man? Saying all that crazy stuff. And they ain't thinking about, not only you talking crazy about Yadi, who can't even defend herself no more, God rest her soul. You got her family members who seeing y'all say all this nasty ish about her. And the damn cop or police talking bad, talking about she's stupid. What the fuck? You stupid. See, now I'm back mad again, y'all. Like this thing right here. Jose Ortiz, my brother, man. If you see this, bro, great freaking video, man. Seriously, man. This was well put together. I hope y'all the family is happy with what you did with this video, because at the beginning, you know what I'm saying, you talked about how you actually had a lot of great conversations with her family, man. I hope they are happy with the way you did this. You represented Yada in such a great way, man. I just love the way Jose started off from a little child, y'all. He showed us from a child all the things that she was going through and how it shaped her to be the human that she was to the very end. Like I had said earlier, man, this was very freaking poetic, my brothers and sisters. This was very poetic. But I digress. I'm gonna go and let y'all go now. I know we are way over an hour, but it was very worth the time that we spent here today. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before y'all leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And come on back tomorrow for another That Chapter Wednesday. And until then, my friends, remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.